So now let's take a look at some of the tools available to you once you've started your class. One of the things you'll notice right away is you'll start seeing a snapshot of your students' screens. You'll notice over on the right, this is a live screen of a student device, and I see a little view of my student's screen here. Now, this is not a live view of your student's screen because you'll notice that over on the right, the student is moving, but every 10 seconds, that image will change, and so you'll get a view of what your students are doing. So it's not a live view, but it is a every 10 seconds or so view. If a student's device is not showing up, that means they're not connected to the class. So once you see, we're going to use one student here. So this is my sample student that I'm using, and you'll notice you can see that snapshot of their screen. I do want to show you, really important, this box at the top that says view. Right now I'm looking at the screen's view, which is the main screen the student is viewing at that time. However, over to the right you will see tab view. You can actually see every tab your students have opened. If there's a tab open that you know is a distractor, you actually can click the delete icon next to that tab. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and that tab will close. You'll notice it closed on my student device. I'm going to go back to screen view, and you'll notice next to your student's name there are 4 icons. There's an icon for pin, chat, history, and device view, which is what I'm looking at right now. We'll go through each of these, but I do want to talk about pinning a student. If you have a particular student that you know you need to keep an eye on, if you click the pin next to that student's name, they will end up first in your list. So that is a way that you can make sure and keep track of a particular student, is with the pin tab. You can also click on the eye next to the student to get a closer view of their device. Because the small views are a little hard to see, this one gives you a larger view of that student, including open tabs and some other tools. We'll talk about each of these tools, but this one's important. I wanted to give you a highlight. If a student is doing something that you want to make sure and record so that you have it for verification later, there is a Save Screen button. So if the student were doing something that the student shouldn't be doing, although this is not a great example because we want them to be in Google Classroom, I can click Save Screen. You'll notice at the top, this was saved to the student session details, and we'll talk about that later, but that's an important tool that you can use to quickly save a screen so that if you need it for conferences with the student or the parent. So to go back to my student, I can go back to my Teacher Tools screen. I also want to show you that at any time in a session, when a student joins your session and their device is not showing up or you're having some issues, you can click the little refresh button at the top. This one is better for use in Teacher Tools than the one at the top, so try to remember to use this one. So that's viewing your students in device view and tab view and pinning students. Next, we'll go through some of the other tools that you can use in Securely Classroom.